What are the budget expectations from the markets? I mean, what does the market fear more? Is it going to be political instability or competitive populism?
Sure. I think both have got significantly addressed, or these concerns have got allayed after what transpired in the recent state election results. I think going into those state election results, there was fear that competitive populism may come to fore. I think this government has refrained from that for past many years. And the fear was that if these state election outcomes sets a pattern that is something what is needed politically, the government may change course, right? I think one of the strong reactions that you saw from the markets post the state election results was not just because there was probably more confidence that there will be political and policy continuity, but also the fact that you will not need to resort to this populism really. And I think that's where the market found confidence that the macro stability that has come to the country is likely to continue.
But then, as I mentioned in the introduction, there are 7 states that are going to polls this year.
Yes.
And it is not only at the central level. I mean, they have to think not only about the general elections, but all these polls.
Yes. So I think clearly there was a concern there, but I think increasingly I think the market seems to believe that they will be able to get to not just stay away from this populism, but still continue with that path of this 1.5% fiscal consolidation that they had laid out for 2 years, right? So I think if in the budget there are indications that we are not going to be on track for that, there can be a negative reaction. But I think if that visibility is provided that one is going to be on that path, I think markets will get confidence.
Given the rich valuations in the market, I mean, do you expect divestment to get an impetus, and more importantly, privatization, which has been kind of put on the back burner?
Sure.
Because especially if the current government is going to return to power, third time mandate, they should be able to go through with it, right?
Yes. I think clearly divestment is something that the government can now more aggressively look at. As you rightly point out, that market has moved up, and interestingly, if you see last 1 year, one of the biggest components that has re-rated is actually the public sector, right? So if you look at the CPSE ETF, I think last year it was up 75%, and I think I would say divestment is more likely than privatization. I think privatization is a much longer intensive process. We all know there have been some enterprises, including banks, that have been put on the block, and it's been difficult to conclude and consummate those. I think given the move up in the valuation, there is elbow room in OFS in a lot of companies. We have seen in the last 6 months, private equity players, promoters of private companies have used the market rally to actually reduce their stakes. And I think the government can take a cue from that and also work in the same vein in the coming year.
Right. The first advanced estimates, they showed that private consumption expenditure is going to grow at only 4.4% or something for this financial year, and the rural economy also does not look that great. Does that concern you? I mean, how do you view cyclical stocks?
Yeah, I think that really has been some sort of an enigma, that while over the last 2 years broader economic growth has been good, consumption has taken so long to revive, right? And that's amply actually reflected even in the equity market. So consumption oriented companies have underperformed, and most of the activity or the rating has been in the industrial manufacturing space. But I believe that while we don't know when the consumption will revive, but ingredients are coming in place, right? So if you look at low income job creation, that's positive. So real estate sector is doing better, construction sector is doing better. We also probably had one big headwind to consumption growth, which was high inflation, right? And that also has subsided. So I don't see really any reasons why consumption slowdown should be continuing. But are we seeing any signs of consumption pick up today? The answer is no. So at least in low income or mass market consumption, even the latest quarter estimates and guidances that FMCG companies have given, for example, are fairly muted, right? But I don't think there is, at least to my knowledge, an overarching reason why this consumption slowdown should continue, right? So I think from a macroeconomic perspective, all the ingredients are in place that consumption revival should come through. Whether it comes through in 3 months from now or 6 months from now is what we need to wait for.
Okay. If there is one budget measure you would like to see announced, one reform measure, what would that be?
So I think more than reform, I think the biggest thing I would be watching in the budget is really the path towards the fiscal consolidation. I think more than any other reform, I think what has really helped India over the past few years has been the macro stability that has been achieved both by consolidating the fiscal as well as kind of making the external account more resilient. I think what we need from the government is this macro stability environment to be maintained, and I think the rest of the things fall in place.